In today's world, we only watch the endings, a flashy success story or the brutal collapse. But we don't hear about the full journey that it took to get there. The late nights, tough calls, moments of doubt. On In Between Sips, we dive deep into the raw, unfiltered stories of what these business owners and leaders have been through and who they became along the way. So pull up a chair, pour a cup, and join us. We're just getting started. Because we all know the best conversations happen in between sips. Cheers to you, Ben. Thanks for coming on the show. No, we have a layered history, a layered past. I know you as the guy that runs the best pest control company in all of Arizona, maybe the nation, right? I mean, you got it dialed in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you probably woke up one morning, let's just get right into it. You woke up one morning and you're like, hey, I want to kill bugs.
Yeah.
Is that where it started or?
Sort of.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not that fancy, but no, I was, I would say kind of later, 30 years old when I started insect tech. And I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I worked in the corporate world for a decade. Was doing investment management, sales, high stress, high pain, but high stress, traveled a lot. And I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur and couldn't really think of that big idea. Like wanted to be, had aspirations of, Zuckerberg and Musk and stuff like that. And
did you ever think you had like a big idea?
No,
you just
never. No, so nothing came to mind. So at about 30 though, I did feel a very, very strong desire that it really didn't matter what kind of business, I had to start something. Yeah. And it was for a couple different reasons. Number one, the stress of my current career and looking 20 years out and being like, I can't do this for another 20 years.
Yeah.
Even though, like I said, pay was great, traveled, I, wined and dined. It was fun in some aspects of it. But I couldn't see myself doing that for 20 years. To be honest, I was always good at relationships and whatnot in the sales role. Not so great at all the analytics, the data, the investment knowledge. And I saw a lot of my peers in that space getting a lot of designations, very fancy designations like CFAs, CFPs, things like that.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't really see myself doing that because they are very involved.
Yeah.
So I kind of saw that like, maybe
this isn't the road.
maybe I should, get out while I'm ahead. But then on top of that, from books that I'd read, from things that I've observed, the only way to create true wealth, which is, what I was desiring, because of not necessarily, not to have all the money, but to have freedom of time, and freedom to do things that I wanted. The only way to do that was to create a business. And that's the only way, that's how most people either inherit it or you grow, a business. And that's how you create wealth. I wasn't going to be inheriting it. I grew up poor. My parents, aren't going to leave me much. So I knew I had to start something, and I felt a drive at 30 where I was like, I got to start something. So I had sold pest control in college to pay for college. Every summer I'd go and sell pest control door to door.
So you were the guy knocking on the door and
I started
doing the sales pitch. And
19 was when my first summer was in Richmond, Virginia. And
do you remember how much it was back then? I say back then, like it's not like we're not that old. 20, I didn't mean back then like that.
No, we're over 20 years for me. I mean, it is some time. Yeah. So to be honest, and that kind of leads to another point. Prices haven't gone up that much compared to that time.
Really?
Yeah, which is sad. I wish as a business owner, I wish they would have gone up more. But I want to say maybe contract value at that point. That's how we got paid was contract value. So maybe it was like $350 a year is what the company, what my contract value I was paid off of. Yeah. Now it's probably closer to, 600. And so in 20 years doubled. I don't know. I'm not an economist. I don't know if that's, ahead of inflation or what, but, so I had sold it. In my college years, I knew how to sell it. And I had some cousins in San Diego that started a business. And
So the way you said
pest
that, I
control
was
company.
like, I have some cousins you see that own a business.
Yeah, they started a pest
If
control
you would have
company.
said like back east, I would have been like, what kind of business? It's not pest control.
Oh,
I'm just
right.
kidding.
Yeah.
The way you presented it at
No,
first.
not that one. Yeah. So my cousins started one in San Diego.
Yeah.
I worked for them a little bit, sales management for them. And I was like, my cousins aren't that smart. Like, if my cousins can do that, and they built up, a decent sized business, probably 5 million revenue.
I'd say I'll send them this episode. So
I will too. Well, they'll get a kick out of it. So yeah, I think they sold out when they were at about 5 million in revenue or so.
Wow.
But anyways, I was like, they can do it. I can do it. So my wife and I, we started the business. I actually still had my day job.
Mm-hmm.
I was still traveling. I was still doing all that stuff, and I kept it for about 3 years until I built the business up, big enough to parachute out.
Yeah.
And yeah, now we're over 12 years. We cover all of Maricopa County. You know our business real well.
Oh yeah.
We really love the pest control business. We have I would say culture where we look at a virtuous circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're good to our customers, they're good to us. We're good to our employees are good to the customers, and so it creates a virtuous circle. We want to be the best value out there.
Yeah.
We're not going to be the highest price. We're definitely not going to be the lowest prices. But we make sure that we're using top quality products. We're hiring good technicians.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't mind having at my home. We just make sure that there's a good environment.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about employees and the environment that they work in and how much that means. And so, we have a nice office. We let them work from home the majority of the time.
Yeah.
I think those sorts of things.
You throw a killer park party too. Like that was a blast. It was cool to see like a company actually, throw a party at the park for all the families. Food and drink were provided. Like it spoke to that familial aspect that I think you guys really want to bake into it. In terms of the virtuous, you mentioned virtuous circle, right?
Yeah.
So as an owner, has there ever been a time where you thought you upheld your end of it, but maybe a customer or employee maybe didn't? And you don't say any names, but like digging into like the real meat and potatoes of entrepreneurship, like these aren't things they train you about. Like nobody's there to train you about like, hey, if you have this situation, what was some of the crazier situations that have come up, as you first started the business?
Yeah, I mean, all the time, right? I mean, so I continue to live that way where I'll do the right thing when, and I'll continue to do that even though, we've been burnt, many times. I mean, COVID comes to mind, right? I mean, that was one of the most difficult times to run a business, super stressful, very difficult to hire employees, to keep them. You'd hire them, they'd get COVID a week later, and then they'd be out. And we were very busy, still during COVID. And so we needed people, we needed employees, but nobody really wanted to work at the time, right? And so, we'd have some employees come in with, bad intentions, right? About get that specific scenario, coming in, starting work, getting sick, getting 2 weeks off, and then quitting and taking unemployment. At the time, unemployment was paying very well. And so, our pay was still better than what they could make, but not by much.
Yeah.
Because, they multiplied the unemployment by quite a bit during that time frame in terms of their, the take home that they had. And so for a lot of people, they were like, well, I'm not working. I'm making 80% of what I made when I was working, so I'll just stay home and collect unemployment. And, we know that lasted for a while, and it was very difficult to run a service business during that time frame, especially because we had so much customer interaction, everybody was home at the time, remember? And so
they're probably finding more and more pests everywhere.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So business was good.
As
a lot of businesses were. Business was good, but it was very stressful to find and retain people that just wanted to work and didn't want to stay at home collecting unemployment.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy to me when you reflect back on that, because not a lot of people see it from the business owner's perspective. We just saw it as consumers, in many of our areas. But when you have that much customer need and nobody to fulfill the work, you're not going to have happy customers. So it's always the both and of business, sales and service. I mean, marketing too, but then the sales and the service just constantly pinging back and forth. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. What's another time that came to mind as you kind of reminisce about, okay, I started the business, a learning experience, a learning curve, I think that's what, most people don't want to hear about SEO tips all day. As much as I would love to give SEO tips all day, hey, make sure you do this. It's like, I think we want to hear about those stories that forged us as business owners, as entrepreneurs that nobody else saw, but, situation that's come up. COVID was certainly one that I think most every guest on the show so far has brought up because I think it's relevant, right? It's still so recent. As businesses, they had to handle it differently, and there's really no real game plan on how to deal with something like that, right?
Yeah.
But as a young entrepreneur, I mean, you started the business, you jump into it. What's like some scenarios that you thought, man, I didn't really think I'd have to prepare myself for that?
Yeah, I think when I talk to young entrepreneurs or people that are still in their careers that want to start a business, I tell them get started early, like 20s, 30s, you got to go. Because I'm 44 now, and so, but at 40, stuff started slowing down. And like I think about, I still get the ideas. I should start this. I should start another business there.
Yeah.
But it's just not quite the same after you kind of lose some of that drive.
Yeah.
And so I tell, people to other, men and women, start as early as possible because you have that drive. But going back to your original question, when I was 30, you just you have a different gear and you have an ability to kind of suppress stress and,
Just
kind of
the power.
Yeah, you just kind of power through. It's like, and a lot of it's kind of like, for some of us, it's just the fake it till you make it thing. And that's kind of how it was with me. I always look back at my corporate career where I was, meeting with, wealthy advisors and investors and things like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I did that, this is nothing. But it was kind of a denial that I was creating for myself where, no, it was something. It was stressful in my 20s. We actually had twins the same year that we started our business too.
Really? So you started the business and then had twins?
Pretty much the same year. Yeah. No, they were born in December and we started in February. So yeah, we were right in it.
Oh my gosh.
And I was still traveling, working my day job. But there wasn't, a small business or a startup. There wasn't much going on. So we did a good job scaling it, properly. Not going too fast and not too slow as well. But I think that time frame in your 30s is really important to just hit it hard.
Yeah.
And that's looking back, that's one regret that I have about that time frame is it was low-hanging fruit back then. There were a lot of legacy businesses that had been around for decades, and we're talking, right, so this was 2012. So a lot of the businesses at that time had been around since the 80s, and so they hadn't really evolved tech-wise.
Yeah.
They weren't, didn't have great websites. They definitely were not using online reviews, the way that they should. Mm-hmm. So we kind of hit a sweet spot where we came in, as maybe younger owners than a lot of our competition, and were able to focus in on the reviews because I always looked at reviews before I went to a restaurant, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We knew that was the trend, and we focused really hard on that in the beginning.
Yeah.
The regret that I have is not doubling down more and more with more ads, with more thinking that it was always going to be that easy to gain market share. And it's, that's textbook, small companies, it's a lot easier to grow. Yeah. Once you get to a certain size, it just becomes much more difficult to grow. But
there's that growth versus scale, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the struggle is like, okay, you've grown the business, you've started up, you've grown it, you've proved concept, but then to scale it, right? Process, content, examining everything. You say reviews, I chuckled a little bit, not at the thought of your reviews, but there was this review that came out, like, I think last week I saw it, and it was a review from Outback Steakhouse and this wife posted, I forget what her name is. Let's just call her Janice. I don't know. So Janice posted The only thing I ever wanted out of my order tonight was the bloomin' onion, and you guys forgot that 1-star review.
Oh.
And then it was like literally like 5 minutes later, she reviewed again, and it was 5 stars review, and she said, "My fat husband ate the bloomin' onion on the way home." I don't know how to delete my last review. Sorry, 5 stars.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just thought, like, what a beautiful and crazy example of the world we're in now, though. Like, everything is like impulsive. I get it now. Like, if the expectations aren't hit, I'm going to go leave a 1-star, right? As owners, we see this all the time. Well, maybe not all the time. And I don't know, maybe if you're in a great company, you don't see it all the time. But
Yeah.
I just mean we have these scenarios come up. But that was such an indicative response of, I think, where we're at in today's society. Like, it's a silly example, but that's why I chuckled.
Yeah, reviews, we've been doing it for a long time now with, responding to reviews, and you have to, if you really care about your reviews, you have to smother. We call it a smother strategy, and you have to smother any bad negative review smother it with attention, right?
Yeah.
Well,
because it's harder to draw out a positive review than is negative, right? Like, somebody's angry, they're going to leave a review.
Yeah.
But most of the time, like, you have to really engage your customers and know, like, who they are and what they're thinking to get a 5-star, right? And so, unfortunately, in today's society, right, whether it's Yelp or Google or whatever, it's, people are irritated. They leave a 1-star review because they don't feel like they're getting a response, right, that they want to hear, even if it was a contractual obligation, right? But yeah, Google doesn't care, right? Yelp doesn't care. They want to just show everything, which is fine. But yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, Google is less discerning. Google will kind of let anything through, and so you kind of have to lower the Google reviews, by at least 1 star, especially for restaurants.
What are your thoughts on Google in general? Because I know you pretty well. Do you love Google, Ben, as a small business owner or medium-sized business owner?
Very well. Gee, the ads for sure are awful. It's definitely mixed, because I do appreciate the products, some of the products that they have. Right. I mean, they make a lot of great stuff. Workspace and Gmail for Business, things like that. But the ads have just over the last probably 5 years, just the value of ads and the price per conversion or price per click, whatever you want to call it, is just going higher and higher and higher. And part of that,
your space in particular, right? Like that's why I kind of hinted, because like we went through that fire together a bit, and it was like
great,
the big boys were buying up at such a magnitude. And then you talk about the VCs that are trying to get into this space, right? Like, pest control is a hot commodity in the VC world, right? And so it's like a perfect storm for somebody like yourself who is running a great business, right? But you're having to pay 10, 20x, right? What a customer is even worth just to get a phone call. Like, it's a really interesting dichotomy that we saw with you in that.
Yeah, private equity is a real threat in the Phoenix market. Number one, Phoenix is probably, top 3 most difficult pest control markets anyways. Because of a couple different reasons. There's low barrier of entry to enter the industry. It's pretty easy to get a pest control license, and, business license to start doing it. Anybody with a truck and a, backpack sprayer could go do it. But then on top of that, there's a lot of bugs, right? I mean, we're in a buggy area. So, so that creates a lot of demand for it as well. And then you have every company in the nation, needs to be here. It's part of their business strategy. They have to be in Phoenix. And so it creates a very difficult environment where there's more price compression than in other parts of the country, maybe non-traditional markets like a Minneapolis or something like that, or Raleigh, North Carolina, which gets bugs, but definitely not on the radar, from like every company, like literally in the world. I mean, we have international companies now that are buying up Phoenix companies. So European-based pest control companies. And so, but that was always happening, right? So there was always Orkin, Terminix, these big companies that would buy up the little guys. But now private equity is getting into the market, and it's really interesting now what's going on. But I get an email or a call every week, from a different, either someone representing a buyer or a private equity group, investor group, family office, something like that that's, looking to get into the space. Half of them aren't real serious about it. They've just heard, oh, hey, that private equity shop, uptown is getting into pest control. Let's see what we can do, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of them, can't be taken seriously. But there's a few here in town that are really, they're doing well and they're buying up a lot of companies. And it creates that, the problem with Google ads that we talked about where they have much bigger budgets. It's difficult as a local, independent pest control company to compete against those big budgets.
Yeah.
I think eventually...
It's just the guy with the poker chips at the table or the gal with the poker chips at the table, the chip leader just constantly swinging around, right? And it's like, okay.
Yes.
And there's other things you can do, of course, but I always find it interesting. Google's the standard, in a lot of ways. But your niche in particular was really interesting to work through.
Yeah.
In terms of what is usually the best versus what works well. And I think that's where you just give yourselves to the data, as a business owner, right? Which can be hard to do at times when you think you have a gut feeling one way or another. Has there been a time in your business, though, where you've made a decision based on data and it's turned out to be the wrong decision? Or have you just you've made all the right decisions for 12 years, right? Is that...
Trying to think. Price raises. We just did a recent price raise, which no business owner, really wants to do a price raise. You kind of only have to do it. You do it when you have to. And we definitely had to. And so we did one recently. We had a really interesting response from it, literally like in the last week.
Oh, wow. Walk me through that, because this is...
Yeah, so, we
How many clients do you have? Just a roundabout number.
Yeah, probably about 5,000, recurring clients. And so we didn't do it for the whole amount, kind of a subset, which was about maybe a little over half. Mm-hmm. And so, going through our own numbers, we came up with, about a 10% number that we would need to raise prices by. Keep in mind, we're already lower than most of our competitors anyways. And so we're kind of really just bringing it up or right below, our other competitors. And the response was pretty incredible though. And almost, you kind of shed a tear to some of those responses because initially the email goes out and we start getting responses just applauding.
What did you, really? What did you think was going to happen? Like
you always have the worst.
So you press send, right?
Yeah.
And what was the initial thought after send? You're like,
yeah, the worst case scenario, right? Oh, are we going to lose 10% of our customers or of this, subset of customers? Are we going to get, a lot of people just irate, because they're getting this from other companies all the time too. It's just, we're piling on. But we got the opposite. It was incredible. We got a lot of emails that said, I would have paid 20. Right,
Really, you should have said deal.
I know, right?
Responded back. We've updated your account.
I told my employees that, dang it, we should have raised it 20. But it was really nice to get those kinds of responses, and I think it goes back to that culture that we've created, that virtuous circle that we've created, where we've been good to our clients, they're good to us, and so they took it in stride, and we sorely needed, that price raise. I was looking at metrics that had just kind of slowly been declining. Mm-hmm. A lot of it goes back to Google ads and the cost of advertising nowadays. But on top of that, there's a diminishing amount of leads as well, where economy is just, it's affecting people. Budgets are tight. And so pest control, when people don't feel as confident about their personal budgets, pest control can be looked at as a luxury.
Are you still like competing against not just other companies but the DIY? Like, isn't Pesty one of them? Not the same quality product,
like a mail direct to consumer type thing.
Yeah, I get it's not the same quality. I get a lot of things, but sometimes to the average consumer, right? When owners look at competition, they only look at the like direct competitors, but not so much maybe the passive competitors, right? Where it's like, well, it's not the same quality product. Mm-hmm. It's not the same level of service.
Yeah.
Like, but you're still losing, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever have like a wave of the DIYers? Has that, taken away from business? Has
Not
it?
really. I would say more not from those specific like direct to consumer
Yeah.
type businesses. No, I don't think they're really cutting into anything.
Mm-hmm.
But Lowe's, Home Depot does, right?
Yeah.
Where they sell the jug of pesticide at Home Depot, and
Terrible
yeah.
product though, right? Terrible
Well,
product.
yeah, the concentration rates
Yeah.
are just really low, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's next to water, right, that you're using, and so they're not mixing it at the same concentration.
You're
rate
just like
that we are.
aggravating the bugs. You're not killing them.
Just making them a little angry.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say, the DIYers are really, cutting in. People don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. Do you want to do your own pool? No, usually not. People, don't want to do that. Do you want to cut your own grass? Do you want to, a lot of people aren't doing it themselves. And so it just comes down to, the consumer that finds value, in our service, having it regularly. And then, once you find a scorpion in your home,
Yeah.
dude, the wife is firing the husband immediately. The DIYer immediately,
Yeah.
if a scorpion is found, in or near
Yeah.
the home, deals off. We're getting a professional company to do it.
What's the craziest thing you've come across in the pest control world?
In the pest control
Yeah.
world? God, I'm not good at these, the thinking back individual experiences. I would say the worst situations, though, in general, are usually bed bugs, and we quit doing bed bugs because of this. Because not only are they typically in difficult situations demographically, but a lot of times we'll come across them in hoarder issues situations, even like these long-term care facilities.
Oh,
really
really?
sad
Yeah.
situations, right? And so
I hate bed bugs. I don't think I've ever had to deal with them, but I hate the
the
concept of
idea,
it.
I know, yeah. No, I know every hotel I go into, I'm doing my own bed bug inspection,
You have your own little kit you bring
Including,
from Insect Tech.
including this may scare a lot of your viewers, but
Bring it on. Let's go.
movie theaters.
Movie theaters? There's bed bugs in movie theaters? Oh, you're giving me that look like it's more common than people think. Really?
Well, think about it. Perfect environment, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's always dark. Captive people.
Food everywhere.
Well, humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are always the worst situations. Bed bugs. Rodents, can be managed, pretty easily. Fleas. Luckily, we don't get a lot of fleas around here. There's not a lot of tall grass or grass in general. There's dog ticks are a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything that is, blood sucking or venomous is going to be, pretty scary. Other sad situations though are really bad German roach infestations. Where, I've, some of our technicians, will send us video. I've been in some of these places as well where they're just, very sad situations where German roaches, which reproduce, really actively, are just all over the place. I mean, it's just squalor, in some of these areas. And
Yeah.
so it's tough to go into those situations and do the best job we can.
Yeah. So walk me back a little bit, because we've talked about the company, right? And all of that. But was there ever a moment, so you went to college, right? And then you started working, in the corporate world, as you say. Like, what were some of those defining moments? Like, did you know early on you wanted to be an entrepreneur and you just fought it for those 10 years? Or like,
I think I was wired, I mean, in sales, I did, sales where eat what you kill, right? And so I was kind of wired to do it. I remember when I was a Boy Scout, Eagle Scout as well. So when
that's
I was
awesome.
a kid,
Me too.
What?
Yeah.
No, you weren't.
I'm an Eagle Scout as well. Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm dead serious. I'm being dead serious. Yeah, I did
Maybe you did tell me that. Okay.
Yeah, I built a music program for the Thomas J. Pappas School for the Homeless.
Nice, man.
Yeah, but then the school closed down, I think 2 years later, so I felt terrible. But,
Because you're
at the time, the music program was Just banging.
Nice, man. Good
Yeah,
job.
I wasn't pulling your leg.
Where's your card?
You
What
know
about
what?
the flag that they
The
flew
gold
over the
card.
Capitol? Where's
Yeah,
your flag that they flew over the Capitol?
that and the gold card. I think the gold card like finally broke, and I was like,
Did I
okay,
tell
I
you
gotta
the only time that ever came in handy for me, the Eagle Scout Award?
no.
So I was 21.
Yeah.
I was living in San Diego at the time, and I was trying to get into a bar, or I was going to a bar, right, with some friends. And, I got this baby face, right? So the bouncer wouldn't let me in. He looked at my ID and he was like,
No way.
like you're not 21.
It was your real ID.
Yeah, for sure. No, I wasn't faking. Yeah, really.
You were 22, you said?
So the cops were right next to him, and he like handed my ID over to the cops.
Yeah.
And the cops, looked at it like, yeah, right. And then they asked me, I don't know, I gave them my wallet, or they asked for my wallet or whatever. And they started rifling through my wallet, and they pull out the Eagle Scout card with my name on it. And then they went, okay, and gave it back to me and let me into the bar.
No way.
It was the one time my Eagle Scout award has ever come in handy. Because remember they used to tell you
The one time it gets you
One
into the
time.
bar. There it is.
they got me into a bar. So yeah, remember they used to tell you like, oh, if you join the military, it'll get you a rank up, and
Oh yeah, there was
with-
so much BS. They pumped it up so much that I put it on my resume, like straight out of college.
Yeah, that
like,
does
what other awards and certifications do you have? And I was like, Eagle Scout, baby.
I know.
Eagle Scout. And like, nobody ever asked me about it. So finally I was like, okay, is it a thing? Because I think it's cool and I think it's a thing, but does anybody else know?
Yeah.
Like, but at
Times
least it
have
got you
changed.
into a bar.
Yeah. It was cool. I enjoyed the camping aspect of it.
Yeah,
I did a lot of
absolutely.
backpacking. Yeah.
What was your project?
I did a nature trail for an elementary school.
Oh, wow. Like
So
you
we went out and built
it?
Yeah, we built the trail, put up signs and stuff that identified, different, trees and plants and stuff like that. Pretty
Nice.
cool, huh?
I had
That
no
was in
idea you
Seattle
guys got-
area.
yeah.
So yeah, we had
Up in Seattle?
we had trees and plants.
yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
funny.
the old Boy Scouts. Yeah, it was a good experience.
That's awesome.
You almost have to give a caveat, right, when you say you were in
do.
the Boy Scouts, if you know what I mean. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I got out. Got out clean. I got
Well,
out
now
clean.
it's not even called the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, it's like Scouts America
It's called
or something
Scouting America.
like that. Scouting America, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, back to your question though. Yeah, I think I was always wired for it. Yeah, so one of our scouting fundraisers was selling bark. And so when I was
Bark?
bark, so Seattle, mulch, right? So,
Oh, okay.
bark.
I was thinking like peppermint bark, like candy.
Yeah, so yeah, a lot of people up in Seattle, people use bark mulch, for their landscaping, and it was the number one seller in our, for fundraiser, and everybody's just so surprised because I went door to door, and I just sold a bunch, hundreds of yards of bark,
Yeah.
and
That was so much better, by the way, than what we had to sell here. We had to sell Scoutorama tickets. It's like, hey, let me sell you a ticket so you can drive out to like, I don't know, was it like Apache Junction or something? I don't know, some like far away to go like learn about the Scouts.
Scoutorama.
Like Girl Scouts are selling cookies, crushing it. And they're like, hey, here's your
seriously.
Scoutorama tickets. So like I saw some Boy Scouts and they were like selling popcorn. I'm like, man, popcorn's not fun to sell. I was like, you have no idea. I had to sell Scoutorama tickets. They're like,
Yeah.
what's that? And I was like, exactly. It doesn't like, I don't know if they make you sell those tickets anymore.
No, I don't know. Yeah.
So that's when you knew, right?
wired. Yeah, so I was wired for it. That's why I got into sales.
Yeah.
From other mentors and family, I knew that sales was the route where I could maximize my income, and so got into that sales world, and then I was ready to start a business, and luckily it's turned out well. We I did have my wife to support me too, and she was I would say really instrumental in building out the processes for our business. Really, really detailed person, and so it's a blessing and a curse to work with your wife sometimes because there are
Oh, do tell.
there are a lot of
We'll make sure she's watching.
yeah, sure. So probably every 3 months, like clockwork, she would threaten to quit. So every 3 months, Every 3 months it was, F this, I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah. And so
Was this like in startup mode though? Like,
or is probably the first 5 years until I finally was able to kind of, get her out of the business. She's happy now. It's
good.
But every 3 months she tried to quit on me, and she really didn't think it would work either. She thought, I was crazy. This is stupid.
Like pest control.
You went and bought one truck, one technician, and the day we were open, I had her like sitting at the table next to the phone, like waiting for the phone to ring because I was traveling or whatever. And she sat there all day. No, the phone didn't ring.
I was going to say, like, as a startup, like, we have these pictures in our head of what the business is going to do day one.
Yeah.
And I just feel terrible, like, picturing her sitting at this desk.
Nobody knew
You're
we were
on the
open.
road.
Nobody knew we were open.
Hey, honey, don't worry. 20 people are going to call in. You got to close them.
Ring.
The whole day didn't ring.
Oh, no. Probably the whole week didn't ring. So that once it started picking up, though, I started taking, when I travel for my...
What did she tell you? What did she tell you that day or the first week? Like, when you called to check in, you're like, hey, how many people called?
I don't remember.
It's like
but
zero.
Zero. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know why we expected people to know.
But I think owners, owners,
you turn it
invest
on.
so much time in your business that you assume, like, and myself included, like, you just assume people are going to gravitate.
Open.
Yeah. Like so when I started, I had an IKEA desk in the room off of our garage in our first home, my wife and I. And like, I remember she was always so sweet. Like, she would pack me a lunch and like coffee, and be like, hey, work as long as you need to. So I remember like specifically, like, I think at one point I actually had a packed lunch that I took into the other room to be like, yeah, I'm doing it. Right. Nobody called. Like, I was sitting in that room for weeks, right? Like making calls, doing it. And it was just a small little room. I think it was like a 10 by 10, room, IKEA desk. And nobody called. I think I got really excited when like Tony's transmission, like I knew somebody over there. It's like, awesome. Like first client, Tony's transmission.
Yeah.
And, but I just assumed as a business owner, like as soon as I turn the lights on, like people, and I'm in business growth, so I should have known better, but I still got caught up in the,
come on, Google,
shininess
man.
of
We're
it.
open.
Yeah.
Wait for the calls.
Yeah.
It finally, it started picking up. We started getting into ads and all that kind of stuff. But so those early years running a business with your spouse, can be difficult but rewarding at the same time.
Yeah.
She still does some stuff. She'll do payroll, and she's really good at spreadsheets, which I suck at. It's like magic, man.
Yeah.
I watch her create them, and I'm just like, it's incredible.
In awe of the spreadsheet.
Yeah. It amazes me that the equations that she can throw in those things and, put together these reports. Wow.
Jeez.
One thing I should have learned in school better.
Yeah.
Spreadsheets.
Was there, so you started the business, it's a little tumultuous. I'll just say tumultuous for the first few years, right? Was there ever a point you thought you had to close up shop? Was that even an option or no?
Never. No, it was going so well, really. And that, kind of goes back to that regret of not pushing harder at the time. I thought it was that easy, and we were growing like crazy. In the first couple of years, it was in the hundreds of percent, growth. And so, but it was easy to double and, stuff like that. But COVID was the first time where there was that existential crisis of my business. And because early on, we didn't know what was going to happen. Is everything going to be shut down for a year? Is this going to be, a Spanish flu style, or is it, something worse?
Yeah.
So that was the first time that, there was kind of that existential threat to the business. But I think after a couple months, it was pretty short lived.
Yeah, leveled
I think
out,
we kind of realized where we were at. Luckily, we were Governor Ducey at the time pretty much everybody was an essential business. You know,
Yeah.
it was like everybody's closed except for essential businesses, which was like 99% of businesses.
I was gonna say we were primarily at the time, like, you know, obviously in like the medical space a lot.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
The legal space.
They're
So
essential.
yeah, so like, oh, we're essential. Done.
Yeah.
Doors are open.
So
We're not
luckily,
closing.
you know, we had a good moderate governor at the time that,
Yeah.
you know, could kind of see through it, right?
Yeah.
What it really was. And so, yeah, that was short lived, but that was the only time. No, I think
That's good.
I think now it's getting more difficult, right? And growth is harder to come by. That concerns me, you know,
Yeah.
that growth is more difficult to come by.
You mean proportionally to what you
correct.
probably were used
Yeah.
to? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we kind of talked about, you know, the beginning of the competition, just the landscape right now is just
Yeah.
incredibly difficult. And we are trying to get that word out, you know, through our marketing,
You're looking at me. Yeah.
through
Yep.
our marketing partners that, yeah, we're one of the few remaining, you know, locally owned pest control companies now. I mean, a lot of people are selling off because
They're still keeping their name though, right? So they still give the
Yeah.
perception that they're local.
For sure.
I wanted to call that out because when people think like, oh, you got bought out, like it's a joyous day, whatever. The name is still intact, so it's not the same family running the shop anymore. It's maybe they're involved.
in many
to some
cases, they're
degree.
still, in many cases, they keep them
Yeah.
running it, but they're absolutely not
Yeah.
locally owned anymore.
not locally owned. They're probably not making decisions on price point and
No. No.
So that's an important call out, you know.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think it's a bad trend. Private equity in general. I think there is some good in private equity. They do offer liquidity to capital markets, right? Where businesses that, you know, need to sell or those sorts of things. But they're now targeting Main Street. And you know, I think 20, 30 years from now, everything could be owned by 30 companies if it continues on this trajectory. Because they always they buy the small companies and then they sell it to a bigger fish, and then that bigger private equity fish sells it to a bigger private equity fish, and then eventually they sell it to the, you know, the big names, the publicly traded companies, and so it's going a little too far, I think. Private equity and kind of and they're doing it to industries. You've had many clients, right? Correct? That
we've had a couple.
That have been bought out by private equity, and you lose a customer.
It's a funny dichotomy, and I think I've told you this before. Is like we're happy for the clients. Like we helped one client grow, and they got bought out, and so he called me. He said, "Ryan, we just got bought out. We made a deal. Like this is awesome." And I was like, "Great job! Like happy for you,
So
Lance.
happy for you.
Happy for you, Lance." And then I hung up the phone and I thought, oh darn, like we just lost a client. Like, and meanwhile, I'm still happy for him. He's sending me pictures now for the next year of how he's traveling around.
His new Lamborghini.
No, he wanted to fish every single like port in America.
That's cool.
So he's like
Good
sending
for
me
him.
pictures, like check out these fish I just caught. And I was like, buddy, I'm so happy for you because I am.
Living the dream. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is interesting when you have these growth goals and you hit them, and then we still lost a client. So now we're trying to get a little smart about that.
Good point. Yeah. From your standpoint, you're helping these clients grow.
Yeah.
you
Which
know,
is fine. He paid us to
and-
do a job, and we did a job. Great. You know,
Yeah.
not begrudging it, but
Sure.
so I was like, that red snapper looks good. You should fly one my way, Lance.
Put it on ice.
Yeah.
Mail it to me.
But they were a blast to work with. But yeah, it does happen. And in fact, that happened just so that they could close down their shop because they took too much market space from one of their main competitors. So that's how that deal happened. Is they basically took their customers, rolled them up, shut their company down. And there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. They're doing it everywhere. They're doing it to optometry. They're doing it to veterinarian clinics. They're doing it to every industry that you can think of. And I don't know. I don't know how it's going to end up. They're doing it to marketing companies too. I mean,
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They're doing it to accounting practices. They're doing it to, I mean, they've been doing it for wealth advisory, practices for a long time.
Yeah. It's just everywhere. Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's in a really advanced capitalist economy like America, it's harder to find growth. And so they are just searching everywhere. And with money from all over the world pouring into America, because it's the best place to invest still, they have money that they need to put to work. Yeah. And so they're just going to be buying up everything. And that's my kind of theory that, 20, 30 years from now, BlackRock, Blackstone, etc.,
everything
owns everything. We own, and options are limited. That's not a healthy capitalist, environment. I mean, that's not how, capitalism should work, in my opinion. You shouldn't allow monopolies and stuff, but it's kind of runaway at this point.
Yeah.
That's my little economics tangent.
Well, hey, let's get into another tangent.
Okay.
I like to ask everybody this question. So what is, one piece of advice or one phrase that you would give another owner, entrepreneur, leader in business that served you well?
I think, going back to that culture of a virtuous circle, I mean, just keep your perspective long-term. There are many, many times, I remember early on, it was pretty typical to have a cancellation fee.
How did that hit you the first time when you just sidebar? I don't mean to interrupt this moment.
Yeah.
Cancellation fee. How did that first one hit you?
When we got our first cancellation? Yeah, it's tough, right? Yeah. And so we had a cancellation fee built into our contract.
Yeah.
We never charged it.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was for kind of my thinking, why kick somebody in the butt on the way out, right? Yeah. And maybe they've had a good experience and they'll come back. Yep. And that would happen a lot. And so we get a lot of return customers that come back. And so, we typically disclose that, hey, there's a cancellation fee, but we're going to be waiving it for you. You know? So
that's the right thing to do.
Perspective, and do the right thing for clients. And it usually comes back to you, once again, that virtuous circle. If you treat your clients well, they're going to treat you well. And not just your clients, but your employees. You treat your employees well, they're going to treat the customers well. Customers are going to treat, admins well, and admins are going to treat the technicians well. And so, just try to have that mindset, I think, and keep a perspective that if you keep that up long enough, that universal law, it'll come back to you, and you'll be successful down the road.
Nice. Well, on that note, life according to Ben. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for sharing. Caught me off guard with that Eagle Scout. That was fun to learn. Nice work on the trail in Seattle. But appreciate you coming on and sharing so much about your industry and just the authenticity you bring, man.
Cool.
It's awesome. So
thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right, bye.